The story began in a classroom at Jiangqing High, moments before the Unified Martial Arts exam was set to commence. Mr. Chen Fan, the instructor, had sternly instructed his students to prepare their equipment. He warned them that the exam was extremely dangerous and strongly advised against participation for those with weak abilities. At that moment, the protagonist, Xu Jingming, reflected on his circumstances. He had been transmigrated into this world, a place technologically similar to his own, yet overrun by deadly beasts. To combat these threats, certain individuals known as awakened wielded supernatural powers to protect humanity. Every person awakened their abilities at age 16, with powers ranging from the mundane to the bizarre. These abilities were categorized into 9 ranks, with most individuals only attaining powers between F and D rank. Xu Jingming recalled his own ability, a weak electric current, barely stronger than a taser, placing him at a meager rank. Suddenly, a blonde classmate sneered at him, asking if he truly intended to take the martial exam despite the teacher's warning. The boy called him trash and mocked that he would only embarrass the school, suggesting he stick to a desk job instead. Before Xu Jingming could respond, lynchingly, a fiery classmate stood up in his defense. She snapped at the bully, telling him to mind his own business. Unfazed, the blonde boy smirked, declaring he would prove his superiority during the test. As he stormed off, he threw a final threat at Xu Jingming, warning him that the exam grounds would be his tragic end. Lynchingly turned to Xu Jingming, her expression softening. She urged him to reconsider, suggesting he take the safer path, the liberal arts track, instead of risking his life in the martial exam. The application form presented 2 choices, liberal arts or martial arts. Those who chose the martial path would be sent into danger zones to fight beasts, and only by passing could they enter an awakened university and become official ability users. Xu Jingming sighed, recalling the beast tide that had claimed his parents' lives. The memory of his helplessness haunted him. He refused to ever feel that powerless again. With grim determination, he marked his choice, martial arts. Later that evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Xu Jingming was seen inside a dimly lit training room. His silhouette moved with precision as he practiced spear techniques, channeling his weak electric current into the weapon. Sweat dripped from his brow as he pushed himself to the limit. After hours of relentless training, he collapsed, gasping for breath. Though exhausted, he acknowledged that his spear mastery gave him a slight edge over other E-rank awakened. Still, he knew the statistics. Casualty rates for martial artists below D rank climbed higher every year. Clutching his fist, he vowed to give his all and secure a place in an awakened university. Just then, the glowing screen hovered before him, displaying a simple question. Did he wish to accept the beginner's package? Xu Jingming's breath caught in his throat. Could this finally be the legendary cheat ability he'd heard about in transmigration stories? His fingers trembled as he mentally queried the system about the package contents. The response made his pulse quicken. It contained an S-rank ability coupled with 200 system points. His mind reeled at the implications. S-rank powers were virtually mythical in this world. Those few who manifested such abilities instantly became national treasures, guaranteed elite training and unlimited cultivation resources. A cold sweat broke across his brow. Here he stood, a mere E-rank nobody that others mocked as trash, now holding the key to completely rewriting his destiny. Without hesitation, Xu Jingming's hand shot forward to accept the gift, his voice steady as he confirmed his choice. The system pinged in response, announcing the successful acquisition of both the points and the Thunder God ability. Then the transformation began. Raw, primordial energy flooded his meridians like liquid lightning. His back arched violently as unimaginable power coursed through every cell. A guttural scream tore from his throat as purple and white electricity erupted from his body in crackling waves. The energy coalesced into a crackling sphere of pure power that illuminated the entire training room. The force of his awakening proved catastrophic. Windows exploded outward in a shower of glass. Outside, bystanders stared in shock as chaos unfolded. A child pointed at the house, exclaiming that it belonged to Big Bro, while the crowd murmured in confusion over what could have happened. A concerned man hastily dialed the fire department, fearing that something terrible had befallen the Xu family's son. Inside, Xu Jingming's agonized screams continued as his transformation progressed, 70% complete. Suddenly, the sky darkened without warning, drawing panicked gasps from the streets. People glanced upward, bewildered, as an enormous dragon made of crackling lightning materialized above the city. Its menacing form loomed over the buildings, sending waves of terror through the crowd. In a nearby government office, a high-ranking official sensed the overwhelming pressure in the air. His expression hardened as he considered the possibility of a high-level beast invasion. Without hesitation, he issued an order. The 3rd Legion of Jianqing was to go on immediate high alert. The energy creature hovered ominously, its presence alone threatening the entire city. Meanwhile, inside the rec room, Xu Jingming let out one final, guttural scream as his transformation reached completion. The violent energy dissipated, leaving behind a scene of utter destruction, furniture shattered, walls scorched, and the air thick with residual power. Clenching his fist, he marveled at the overwhelming strength surging through his veins. This was no ordinary ability. It was an S-rank power, divine thunder, a force leagues beyond his previous strength. Glancing around at the devastation, he realized just how much commotion he had caused. Luckily, he had managed to control it before things got worse. Then, he remembered, 200 ability points had been granted to him. What were these for? Excited by this straightforward advantage, he commanded the system to open his panel. A translucent screen materialized before him, displaying his details. Name, Xu Jingming. Power, Divine Thunder, S-rank. Ability points, 200. Without hesitation, he allocated all 200 points into his combat attributes, knowing that tomorrow's exam demanded peak performance. He understood that true power came from both body and mind, so he distributed the points between physique and spirit. The numbers on his panel skyrocketed, and a violet aura enveloped him as raw energy coursed through his muscles and thoughts. His breathing steadied, his reflexes sharpened, and even his mental clarity heightened. He flexed his fingers, testing his newfound power. The difference was staggering. His movements were faster, his strikes more precise. A single punch sliced through the air with blistering speed. The system panel updated, showing the conversion of his points into enhanced attributes. With this boost, he had no doubt he would ace the university entrance exam. But one question lingered: where would he rank among the others? Eager to test his limits, he grabbed his spear, kicking it into the air with effortless precision. Gripping the weapon firmly, he made up his mind: he would head to a martial arts gym immediately. There, he could push his abilities further and truly gauge the extent of his power. Suddenly, the door to the room was kicked open by a powerful boot. 3 firefighters rushed inside, leaving Xu Jingming completely startled and confused. The team leader quickly explained that they had received an emergency call reporting a fire at the location. Xu Jingming calmly clarified that it had only been his powers fluctuating and that everything was under control now. After assessing the situation, the fire chief nodded in understanding and ordered his team to clean up. One of the firefighters was visibly impressed by the young man's strength, and Xu Jingming waved at them politely as they left. Outside, the fire truck drove away under the watchful eyes of curious neighbors. One of them called out, asking if everything was all right. Xu Jingming assured them it was just a minor incident before heading straight to the gym to continue his training. After all, for awakened individuals striving to become power users, relentless training wasn't just important, it was essential. He arrived at Thunder Hall, one of the most prestigious training facilities in the nation. Unlike other exclusive gyms that charged exorbitant fees, this one was completely free for high school students. As he stepped inside, his eyes landed on a group of girls chatting near the entrance. One of them looked familiar. It was Tang Qi, his cousin, who had also come to train. She was deep in conversation with a friend, both of them laughing excitedly. Noticing her, Xu Jingming walked over and greeted her, asking what she was doing there. Tang Qi seemed surprised by his sudden appearance but casually replied that she was just hanging out with friends. He nodded, bidding them farewell before mentioning that he was heading to the training room. As he walked away, Tang Qi watched him go, a strange feeling creeping over her. Something about him felt different. Her friend, Xiuya, immediately perked up, asking who he was. Chi-Chi, who's that? Leaning in with sudden interest. He's kind of handsome. Tang Qi sighed. He's a third year like us, taking the martial exam tomorrow. Nearby, another male student scoffed. Why so curious? Got a little crush, Xiuya? Yup, Xiuya admitted without hesitation. With a face like that, as long as his strength isn't too shabby, wouldn't he be great to show off as a boyfriend? Tang Qi shot her friend a wry look. Hate to disappoint you, but he only awakened an E-rank ability. Just E-rank? The male student smirked. That's a shame. Taking the martial exam with only an E-rank ability, gotta admire his. Courage is one thing, Tang Qi interrupted sharply, but the risk is way too high. I'd rather he didn't take the exam. Xiuya gently pulled her shoulder. Alright, let's drop it. Weren't we here to check out Thunderbolt Martial Hall? As the group walked away, one of them remarked that relaxing a bit before the exam wasn't a bad idea. In the training room, Xu Jingming gripped his spear, noticing how it felt lighter than before. He quickly realized it was not the weapon that had changed. His own body had grown stronger. With the exam just a day away, there was no time to find a better-suited weapon. Deciding to test his limits, he resolved to strike using only his physical strength, deliberately avoiding his superpower. Taking a deep breath, he steadied himself, muscles coiling like springs. His fingers tightened around the shaft, knuckles widening from the force. Then, in one explosive motion, he thrust the spear forward, driving its tip straight into the target. A sharp crack echoed as the impact left a deep gash in the training dummy. The scoreboard flickered before displaying 321 calories. Almost instantly, the room's automated systems whirred to life, repairing the damage. Xu Jingming exhaled, impressed. His raw strength had nearly doubled, far surpassing that of an ordinary awakened. A surge of excitement coursed through him. Now, it was time to test his purple sky divine thunder. His eyes flashed with energy as violet electricity crackled around his hands, then spread across his body like living tendrils. With a shout, he struck again. This time, the impact was catastrophic. A deafening boom shook the room as the scoreboard lit up with 3,021 calories. Xu Jingming grinned. S-rank power, already comparable to a mid-level super user. Yet he knew this was not his limit. He decided to merge his superhuman strength, combat skills, and lightning energy into a single, devastating technique. He spun the spear, faster and faster, until a swirling vortex of white and purple energy engulfed him. At the spear's tip, a sphere of condensed power formed, pulsating with raw destruction. With a roar, he released it all. The resulting explosion obliterated everything in its path. Meanwhile, in the main hall, a sudden tremor rocked the building. A student stumbled, grabbing a railing for balance. He muttered something about an earthquake. On the same floor, Xu Jingming's cousin and her group were knocked off their feet by the violent shaking. One of them, a sensor-type awakened, paled. That energy fluctuation came from a superuser, he said. Tanky's friend gaped. But only students train here, the elites use the high-tier halls. Curious and slightly alarmed, the cousin led the group toward the source of the disturbance. As they turned the corner, they spotted Xu Jingming casually walking out of a training room, his expression unreadable. What were you doing in there? His cousin demanded. Just finishing up, he said. Heading home to rest for tomorrow. One of her friends wished him luck, but as soon as he left, they rushed to inspect the room he had exited. The door was shattered, barely hanging on its hinges. When they stepped inside, their jaws dropped. Then, the cousin whispered, "What the hell happened here?" The training room was completely annihilated with broken walls and equipment. Xiaoya exclaimed in shock, questioning what high schooler could do this. A nearby young man sensed the violent residual energy, suggesting a level 2 or peak level 1 user. Another insisted no student could be responsible. It must have been a rogue ability user breaking rules. Xu suddenly wondered if Jingming had done it, a hidden genius revealing himself tomorrow. The others dismissed this, mocking her for reading too many underdog stories. An E-rank like him would be lucky to reach power level 300, they argued. Tang Qi studied the spear-like hole in the wall. She quietly considered if Jingming really had caused this, and if that explained his exam confidence. The city had 3 high schools with about 3,000 12th grade students. Excluding liberal arts examinees, roughly 1,400 were registered for the martial arts exam. Over 40 buses transported them to the testing site, a fence ruin that transformed annually for the exam. Dangerous beasts lurked in the rubble, their growls echoing. Students paled when spotting a one-horned rhino. A young man in a light blue combat uniform, carrying a long sword, scoffed at their fear. He remarked that if they couldn't handle such a beast, they'd achieve nothing even if admitted to a special abilities university. When students turned to argue, they hesitated upon recognizing him. Xu Mingyang, the top student from First High School, known for his B-rank wind ability and near level 1 strength. Curious, Jingming asked a tall student beside him, Lu Jia, about the arrogant youth. Lu Jia explained Xu Mingyang's reputation as this year's predicted top scorer. Jingming wondered how he compared in strength. Before the tension could escalate, a middle-aged military officer, Wang Haiyang, called for order. As the chief commander of the exam, he announced the rules. The test would last 12 hours, from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., across 3 zones: the outer zone, unranked beasts; the central zone, peak unranked and level 1 beasts; and the core zone, level 1 and above, including level 2. Points were awarded based on the beasts defeated, but he warned students to stay within their limits to avoid unnecessary danger. Jingming smiled faintly. Before, he would only have dared hunt in the outer zones. Now, he was ready to challenge Core Zone 1. The exam proctor distributed supplies to each examinee: a smartwatch to track points and map the ruins, 3 energy bars for stamina, and a safety sphere that created an electric barrier, though activating it meant failing the exam. When Jingming received his gear, his teacher warned him sternly. "Your life matters most. Don't be reckless." Jingming thanked him sincerely. Just then, Jingming's cousin's friend came running toward him, shouting his name. She invited Jingming to join her team with the class president, promising that they would protect him. However, a classmate complained, arguing that teams could only have 5 members and that adding Jingming would drag down their score. The class president's friend grew annoyed, reminding them that they already had a deal and couldn't back out now. Undeterred, the other student pointed at Jingming and declared that he wasn't willing to carry dead weight during the exam. Seeing his best friend getting worked up, Jingming stopped him and thanked them for the kind invitation. With a smile, he declined the offer, stating that he planned to enter the exam arena alone this time. The girl and her friend were visibly surprised, but she accepted his decision and simply urged him to be careful inside. The group then walked away to find a new member for their team, leaving him behind. Jingming smirked slightly, looking entirely self-assured. He thought to himself that even without their help, he would find a way to earn a great score on the exam. Suddenly, a voice announced the start of the test as drones activated to broadcast the event live. With that, all the students rushed into the ruined city, determined to pass. Jingming's cousin and her group also pushed forward into the arena. Meanwhile, another girl with purple hair dashed through the crowd at incredible speed. Nearby, the genius Zhou Mingyang leaped into the air with his sword, ready to demonstrate his power for all to see. Meanwhile, Jingming also took a firm step, preparing to leap into action. Gripping his spear, he sprinted forward, declaring aloud that he was ready for the martial arts exam. He tapped his wristwatch to activate the exam system. A screen materialized, confirming his details and displaying the rankings, with his rival already holding first place. A faint smile crossed his face as he noted how quickly the genius had begun scoring points. Deciding he couldn't afford to lag behind, he resolved to move immediately. Instead of lingering in the outer area, he headed straight for the central zone of the ruined city. Soon, he found himself navigating the skeletal remains of collapsed buildings, the designated arena for the test. Spear at the ready, he advanced cautiously, scanning for threats. Suddenly, Jingming stumbled upon a student sprawled on the ground, severely injured. His eyes widened in shock. The classmate hadn't even activated his safety ball to escape. Studying the boy's condition, a grim thought struck him. Without his S-rank abilities, he could have easily suffered the same fate. A cold bead of sweat trailed down his temple as the true danger of the exam sank in. Without hesitation, he knelt and summoned the logistics team to evacuate the wounded student. Just then, Jingming's instincts flared. A presence was closing in, fast. From the gloom, a clawed paw slammed into the ground with crushing force. A shadow beast lunged from the darkness. Jingming realized he'd walked straight into a trap. The beast had lured him perfectly. The shadow beast locked eyes with him, its crimson gaze burning with predatory intent. Gripping his spear tighter, Jingming dropped into a combat stance as the monster's muscles coiled for an attack. With terrifying speed, the creature lunged. But Jingming twisted away with agile precision, narrowly avoiding the deadly swipe. He landed lightly on his feet as the beast crashed into the ground behind him, its claws gouging deep furrows in the concrete. This was no ordinary foe. The Grookey killer earned its name through razor-sharp claws and bone-crushing jaws. As it recovered with a ground-shaking roar, saliva dripping from its exposed fangs, Jingming understood why these beasts were feared. Their very presence emitted an aura so oppressive it paralyzed inexperienced fighters. Wealthy families paid fortunes to have guards train their children against such monsters from childhood. Jingming's jaw tightened. He'd never had that privilege. This marked his first true battle against one. When the beast sprang again, death gleaming in its claws, Jingming stood firm. Purple lightning suddenly crackled along his spear, illuminating his determined face. With one fluid motion, he thrust forward. The electrified spear struck true. As the beast collapsed, twitching, Jingming noted with satisfaction that its fear aura hadn't affected him at all. His wrist display pinged, 3 points awarded, unranked Shadow Cat eliminated. These minor beasts offered scant rewards, but their weakness to his attacks presented an opportunity. No reason to linger in the outskirts. Jingming pressed deeper into the ruined city, carving through monsters with increasing efficiency. In one frenetic skirmish against multiple foes, a realization struck. While his point tally grew, what he truly lacked was sustained combat experience. His new divine power, though formidable, drained energy alarmingly fast. Unlike his former ability's endurance, this one would last even an hour at full tilt. Knowing the exam would last 12 hours, our boy decided to stick with just his spear for combat practice. But his training session got interrupted when a hulking rhinoceros with burning red eyes came crashing through the ruins. The beast went wild, flipping a wrecked car skyward with its massive horn. Instead of backing down, the young fighter planted his feet as the monster barreled toward him. At the last possible moment, he launched himself straight up, clearing the charging beast by inches. Still airborne, he angled his spear downward for a killing strike. The weapon connected with a thunderous crack against the rhino's skull, dropping the 2-ton creature instantly. Landing lightly, our hero noticed his movements felt sharper. A quick system check brought good news. Spear technique intermediate level reached. His eyes lit up. If intermediate skills packed this much punch, what could advanced techniques do? Suddenly, his mind flooded with complex spear forms and battle strategies. The wave of knowledge nearly overwhelmed him before settling into place. With a confident grin, he scanned the area, now itching to test these new skills against the top-tier beast. Nearby, the class president's team paused their advance. "Wait," she frowned. "I could have sworn I just saw Jingming pass by." One teammate snorted. "No way. He'd get slaughtered in this zone." Their leader stayed quiet, though worry flickered across her face. Before she could respond, another member shouted, pointing at the still-warm rhino carcass. The group crowded around the massive corpse, examining the clean spear wound through its skull. "This kill required at least C-rank strength," Someone muttered in disbelief. Hands trembling, the class president pulled up the rankings. Her breath caught. There was no mistake. Their previously underestimated classmate had rocketed into the top 50. Chaos erupted. How? Voices overlapped as devices were checked and rechecked, none able to process this impossible leap in strength. Outside the arena, the public was following the exam closely, and all eyes were on Zhou Mingyang, who had taken first place. The city's director of education praised the young genius, remarking that Zhou was certain to secure a spot in the provincial top 100. He went on to congratulate the principals of the schools whose students held first and third place, commending their impressive performances. Then, turning to the principal of Jiang City High School No. 2, he told him to reflect and work harder. As the highest-ranked student from his school was only in 18th place, principal of No. 2, Duongdu felt his face flush with embarrassment, and assured everyone that he would do better next time. In previous years, his school had always outperformed No. 3 high school, but this year the situation appeared to have reversed. Duongdu's eyes went to the screen. For a moment he froze. Wait a minute. Who is this Xu Jingming? Why have I never heard of this name before? Is there even such a person in the rocket class? He didn't recognize the student, but Jingming's homeroom teacher, Chen Fan, was completely taken aback when he saw the name Xu Jingming appear on the rankings. Xu Jingming had actually made it into the top 50. Chen Fan wiped the sweat from his cheeks, disbelief swirling in his thoughts. But isn't this kid an E-rank awakener? Could he have been hiding his strength? Then another thought struck him. Even if he had been hiding it, can an E-rank ability suddenly leap to S-rank? His gaze shifted back to the large display. Only the top 10 had their own dedicated camera feeds, which meant there was no way to find any live footage of Xu Jingming at the moment. How on earth did he manage to score so high? Meanwhile, our boy had reached the exam's most dangerous sector. Crunching glass underfoot, he took a bite of his snack bar while observing the environment. Ranked beasts are different, they are more smarter and territorial. His chewing stopped mid-bite. Every muscle tensed, something was coming fast. The warning came just in time. A monstrous blue-eyed tiger erupted through a line of abandoned cars, its thunderous charge reducing metal to scrap. A furk beast, nature's perfect wrecking ball. Instead of fear, a fierce grin spread across the young fighter's face. Talk about perfect timing, he thought, gripping his spear. Just the opponent I needed to test these new techniques. Without hesitation, he launched himself toward the rampaging beast, electrified spear crackling with pent-up energy.
The arm-blade tiger lunged, metallic forelimbs gleaming. Xu Jingming, spear in hand, stayed low waiting. The moment the beast was mid-air, he struck. Their clash lasted all of a second. A sharp clang rang out, and the tiger's paw shuddered from the impact. Xu Jingming just grinned. This is all the strength a rank 1 arm-blade tiger's got. He scoffed, adjusting his grip. Guess I'll have to wait for the Tiger King if I want a real workout. Before the beast could recover, he was already moving. Let me speed up your trip to the afterlife. His spear shot forward like a bolt, piercing clean through the tiger's chest. But the damn thing still wasn't done. With a furious roar, it twisted, claws raking the air as it pounced, forcing Xu Jingming into a hasty dodge. He rolled sideways, barely avoiding the swipe. Heh. Gotta respect the hustle, he muttered, watching the beast stagger back up, blood dripping from its wounds. But this fight's over. Purple lightning crackled around his spear, gathering into a lethal surge. One thrust, and the energy erupted, punching straight through the tiger's body. The creature collapsed, finally still, the ground now painted in a very unfortunate shade of crimson. A glowing blue box materialized above the corpse. Killed, 1 rank 1 armblade tiger. Ability points plus 14. The ability points gained from killing a rank 1 fierce beast are almost double that of an unranked one. Xu Jingming barely glanced at it. He was already turning away. Stronger beast, bigger rewards, he mused, a smirk playing on his lips. And this exam site? Packed with monsters everyone else is terrified of? Perfect. It's basically my own personal grinding paradise. The monitoring room hummed with quiet tension as holographic rankings flickered across dim screens. All eyes tracked one name climbing steadily, Xu Jingming of Jiangqing Second High, now sitting pretty at 25th place with 345 points. Other instructors congratulated instructor Chen Fan, though some couldn't resist teasing, well, seems your class 5 actually produced a decent fighter for once. One instructor pointed at the screen and exclaimed, "Look everyone! Xu Jingming's ranking has gone up again. He actually gained 44 points in one go." Director Zhang chuckled while examining the rankings. Killing a peak unranked beast, 6 to 8 points. Killing a first-tier low-grade beast, 14 to 16 points. Principal Zhao of Second High frowned, counting on his fingers. The math wasn't adding up, or rather, it was adding up too well. Director Zhang leaned in, eyes sharp. And the system updates kill counts every 4 seconds. Which means, in the time it takes most students to blink, Xu Jingming just slaughtered either 5 peak unranked beasts or 3 first-tier ones. Principal Zhao whipped toward Chen Fan. "Honestly, I'm just as surprised as you are." Director Zhang thought, a performance like this hasn't been seen in years. "Principal Zhao, why haven't we heard about this student before?" Principal Zhao gestured at him. "For details, you'll have to ask his homeroom instructor." Sweat beaded on his forehead as he stepped forward, bowing slightly. Director Zhang asked, "Well, Instructor Chen? Enlighten us. What's this boy's talent?" Chen Fan swallowed hard. Director, Principal. Xu Jingming awakened an E-grade ability. Weak electricity. The monitoring room fell into stunned silence. Director Zhang's expression remained unreadable as he processed Chen Fan's revelation. "An E-grade ability? You're certain about this?" Chen Fan could only offer a weak nod, his posture shrinking slightly. I even advised him against taking the exam. Never imagined he'd perform like this." Director Zhang, enjoying the tea, said, "Interesting. Very interesting." He turned back to the display. With his current momentum, breaking into the top 10 seems inevitable. A heavy pause followed before he added quietly, "The question is, how exactly is he doing it?" At the unspoken suggestion of cheating, both Principal Zhao and Instructor Chen went pale. Then, the rankings updated with an almost theatrical flourish. Elsewhere in the examination grounds. 9th place, Xu Jingming. A wolf-eared girl, she watched the scoreboard update. A knowing smirk played across her lips. "Just as I thought," she murmured to herself. "You were the one behind that shockwave yesterday. Cousin Jingming."